doing this thing from start to finish. This drawing is a commission. It's a commission of a character by Pear Attic. They are on Twitter. I'm pretty sure Instagram too. I'm gonna link to their profile so you can see it. So the character belongs to them, but they commissioned me to draw them, and it's a super cool like demon character with sweet leg armor. So I was like, "Yep, I'm in." So I decided to do it just in one shot. And I wanted to do like a one color watercolor with graphite for the line work, as usual. And so I went in with a super light sketch and then kind of have been refining it with a number of different pencils. The first one was just like a really light Crayola pencil to do the layout. And then I kind of come in and erase, and I'm using a Dixon Carpenter pencil to kind of shape out the armor and like the details, because like that took some figuring out with the pose that I chose, which was just right off the bat. But I figured for this size of paper, like kind of a sitting pose would probably work best. And this one is a, oh geez, what is this? It's like a Cretacolor pencil, like a big fat pencil. I figured big paper, big pencil, right? It just made sense. I've kind of had this weird idea of when I draw in a smaller scale, I use smaller pencils, and then when I draw on a larger scale, I use larger pencils. Because there have been many times I use the same pencils I used to draw very small, very, small mechanical pencils or finely sharpened wood pencils to do a large drawing, and I get lost in the line work. It ends up taking me way too long. So today, not doing any of that, using the big pencils. So I had a lot of fun doing this piece, and I think it shows because I kind of just let myself go wild with the line work and the texture, and I use many different layers of the graphite because when I paint over it with the watercolor, I want there to be like all this texture underneath, and not just texture from the graphite itself, but also that the grooves the pencil leaves in the paper that can also affect the texture of your watercolor as you wash it on. So with the one color watercolor, I chose a blue green because the reference that was sent to me had this like blue green hue to it, hue to it. Yes, and I figured it goes well, so I'll just jump on that. And when I do the one color watercolor, I like to work from the shadows first. I like to lay the color into the darker areas, let it sit for a little bit, and then kind of blend it out. You can see it throughout the video where I will just drop down like really dark drops of color and move on to another area, but then come back and then blend them out. When I'm watercoloring, I do this even when I'm using more than one color, because as the watercolor kind of sits and soaks into the paper, it makes that area darker, and it also leaves like kind of like a drying mark around the edges of wherever it's wet. This is something you get familiar with the more you use watercolor and play with it. I've been messing with it for a long, long time, and so I've gotten the feel of like how long I like to let it sit before I blend it out, and what kind of tones I'm gonna get based on how long I'm letting things dry. My other favorite technique with watercoloring is to have a piece of paper towel nearby to blot up the color. I'll wash over an entire area, whether it be like an arm or like a piece of armor, do a wash of color over that whole chunk, and then use the paper towel to blot up the color in the areas where I want to highlight. Watercolor can be a totally intimidating medium when you're looking at it, and it's like I don't know what to do with this. So I would recommend, if you've never played with watercolor before, or just nervous about it, or have tried it before and maybe you felt it was unsuccessful, try doing a one color watercolor piece. It's really fun. It helps you kind of understand the medium and how it blends and how you can shade with it without actually throwing, all the different color mixing, color theory crap in there. It looks really freaking cool when it's done. If you really take the time to to learn the like subtle shading techniques and how you like to use watercolor, because it's such a versatile medium. You absolutely have to like kind of put a little bit of yourself into it and find the way that you like to use it personally. And excuse me, there we go. Yeah, so here we go, wrapping up, putting ink on the thing, and that's pretty much meaning that it's done, right? But yeah, if you try out some watercolor stuff and want to share it with me, I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching this video. As always, you're super duper cool, and let's see you next time.